Heavy rain poured from the sky, flooding the southern provinces of China. The rainfall in Changsha, Hunan province, within an hour, was enough to fill 54 West Lakes in Hangzhou. In Changsha, water reached up to an adult's neck in some areas. Other parts of southern China, including Zhejiang, Anhui, Fujian, Jiangxi, Hubei, Hunan, Guizhou, Guangdong, and the Guangxi region, also experienced heavy rain and flooding. Xi'an, in Guangxi, faced its worst flood in 30 years since mid-June, affecting over 180,000 people due to continuous heavy rain and upstream flood discharges, causing water levels to rise rapidly. At the hydrological station in Xi'an, water levels peaked at nearly 149 meters at one point. The rising river water flooded urban areas. Meizhou, Guangdong, also turned into a vast ocean. Residents in many parts of southern China reported never seeing such heavy rain and rapid floodwaters. Property losses, living difficulties, environmental destruction, and severe threats to people's lives were widespread. Centuries-old cultural relics were also destroyed in the floodwaters, such as in Anhui province. Dams releasing floodwaters without warning are the cause of serious flood disasters. What is the cause of these unusual natural disasters? Let's explore this in today's program. Is it just the rain from the sky? In Anhui province, there is Chengkan village, once praised by philosopher Zhu Xi as the first village in Jiangnan. It has a large number of ancient Huizhou architectural relics, such as the Laodong Temple and a complex of ancient buildings. There is also the Huantou Bridge, built during the Yuan dynasty, now about 700 years old, but it has been damaged by floods. Additionally, Qingdao Radio Arts reported on June 24 that the statue of Poet Li Bai in Teotihuacan town, Xuanqing, Anhui, had been submerged up to its chest. This statue is part of a complex depicting the scene of Wang Luan seeing off Poet Li Bai by Tao Hua Pool. This flood disaster is not just due to heavy rain. Unannounced flood discharges from dams have accelerated the flooding. Heavy rain is only part of the cause, as rain alone has never caused such rapid flooding in the plains. For instance, on June 23, a video from Sichuan television was cited, revealing that in a village in Anhui, water levels rose by 4 to 5 meters within minutes. In Changsha, 2 restaurant employees in the Ziyuewi commercial area reported that water began rising around 9 a.m. By 11 a.m., the entire first floor of the restaurant was flooded, showing how quickly the water rose. All the heavy rains in Meizhou, Guangdong, Xi'an, Guangxi, and Fujian province, etc., couldn't cause such rapid water level rises without state involvement in unannounced flood discharges. And this is what Chinese mainstream media remains silent about. On June 16, the Huangtian Reservoir in Huangtian Village, Pingyuan County, Meizhou, suddenly discharged floods. Surveillance cameras recorded a house in Zhangyan Village, Pingyuan County, being submerged. The video showed local water levels rising by 2 meters within 3 hours. In this image, just by looking at the position of the pig clinging on, one could see how high the floodwaters rose. When floods were discharged in Guangdong, many videos on social media platform X showed that on June 22, heavy rains in Xi'an, Hubei, drowned over 20,000 chickens of a farmer. According to the farmer in the video, multiple reservoirs simultaneously opened floodgates, causing water levels to rise by more than 1 meter within 10 minutes, leaving no time to save 1,000 chickens while over 20,000 drowned, causing a loss of about 200,000 yuan. We raise them ourselves, how can we buy insurance? According to government reports, as of 3 p.m. on June 21, heavy rain in Pingyuan County, Meizhou, had caused 38 deaths and 2 missing persons. But the actual number can only be known by the government. The Vision Time interviewed Sheng Shui, a writer living in Canada and vice president of the Global Democratic Front. She said, "When I saw this flood, my first thought was the flood in Zhuozhou, Hebei province, last year, which was also caused by the government deliberately diverting and releasing floodwaters, causing a flood disaster. At that time, how many people died, no one knows, and the government will never tell the truth. The truth is that knowing such weather was coming, they did not think of ways to save people, so the public could avoid the disaster. Instead, when people were asleep at night, unprepared and unable to escape, they used flood discharge to achieve their political goals. Not only Shang Shui, but Zhao Longjian, a former mainstream media figure in China, also recalled last year's incident in Zhuozhou, Hebei province, where the Beijing government discharged floods to protect Xi'an. He described the incident as a political flood. Xi'an is a city built under Chinese leader Xi Jinping's directive to make it a model city for his political legacy. However, it was originally a natural flood discharge area in the Chinese plains. Logically, once a natural flood discharge area is built into a city, the surrounding cities and residential areas will inevitably become flood discharge zones. To prevent Xi'an from being swept away by floods from the Taihang Mountains, a flood control dam was built west of the city, causing massive floods in peripheral areas that hadn't flooded in hundreds of years. Zhao Longjian also criticized the government's unannounced midnight flood discharge as an extremely cruel massacre. If they discharged during the day, they couldn't hide the source of the floods from the people. Meanwhile, Chinese media continues to remain silent. The Three Gorges Super Dam has accumulated 1.8 billion tons of sediment, a giant tsunami bomb waiting to explode. China's Three Gorges Dam is the largest hydroelectric project ever built in history. To date, this record has not been broken. When construction began in 1994, this dam was designed to control Asia's longest river in the country, the Yangtze River, or Yangtze River, the third longest in the world. The huge weight of water behind the Three Gorges Dam has begun to erode the banks of the Yangtze River in many places, along with frequently fluctuating water levels, causing a series of landslides, Xinhua news agency reported. The most surprising thing, NASA said, is that this dam actually has the ability to slow down the Earth's rotation rate due to the huge volume of the reservoir. China Central Television, CCTV, reported that at 2 p.m. on July 12, the inflow of water into the Three Gorges Reservoir was 54,000 cubic meters per second and the outflow was 33,900 cubic meters per second. Nearly 40% of floodwater has been retained in the reservoir and is preparing to be released, which will cause severe flooding downstream. According to monitoring records of the Three Gorges Project's operating department, the Three Gorges Dam has experienced movement, leakage, and deformation, but did not reveal detailed related data, only saying generally that it was within the normal range, while emphasizing that the safety index of the dam's water-blocking architectural items remains stable. Since last year, social networks outside China have spread images of the deformed Three Gorges Dam, making the public worry that this giant dam may burst. Recently, mainland Chinese media published an article with the title, "The Three Gorges Dam has done its best, please stop criticizing it," making Chinese people exclaim in surprise, could it be that the Three Gorges Dam has received a death sentence? And yet, the deepest concern at the Three Gorges Dam is sediment. By cutting off the flow of the Yangtze River, the dam trapped large amounts of silt, which not only reduced its ability to control floods by filling the reservoir but also caused widespread erosion downstream of the river. Chinese media reported that in the 18 years since the Three Gorges Dam was built, 2006 to 2024, the dam has accumulated 1.8 billion tons of sediment, which could form a small mountain. What are the catastrophic consequences of sediment accumulation? It is important to know that the Three Gorges Dam was built on the Yangtze River. As a dam, it blocks the river to a large extent. Sediment accumulation caused by large amounts of water will affect the nearby Chongqing area. Once a potential danger occurs, the consequences will be extremely dire. Famous Chinese hydraulic engineer and Professor Huang Wanli once predicted that the Three Gorges Dam would cause Chongqing's ports to be clogged with silt and gravel within a decade. The Washington Post quoted some Chinese hydrologists as saying that the Yangtze River's heavy silt and its shifting gravel would obstruct the Three Gorges Dam's own turbines, affecting power generation efficiency, fill the reservoir bottom, affecting the ecological environment, and cause even worse flooding. Sedimentation of hundreds of millions of tons per year will certainly block Chongqing Port, flood the land upstream, and threaten to cause great loss of life. It would create a giant water bomb equivalent to the destructive power of a nuclear bomb. Once the Three Gorges Dam breaks, it will create a powerful tsunami that will wash away everything downstream of the dam. Professor Huang Wanli's warning nearly 30 years ago has partly come true. According to statistics, after 18 years of operation, the Three Gorges Dam has accumulated 1.8 billion tons of sediment. Notably, this process is still increasing at a rate of 100 million tons of sediment deposited each year. Great danger is hanging over the heads of the Chinese people. Chinese geologist Fan Xiao also pointed out that the reservoirs of the Three Gorges Dam can hold less than 9% of peak floodwaters. The Three Gorges Reservoir can only temporarily mitigate some flooding upstream, but it is powerless against flooding caused by heavy rain in the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River. He believes that the Three Gorges Dam and other major dam projects can exacerbate flooding because they have altered the sediment flow downstream of the Yangtze River, and the dam's electricity production needs also affect flood control. When people consider using reservoirs for flood control, they often overlook or ignore the natural regulatory capacity of rivers and lakes. According to Wang Weiluo, an expert on the Three Gorges Dam issue, the flooding disaster on the Yangtze River this year is entirely man-made because the water levels and flow rates of all reservoirs and dams in the Yangtze River basin are controlled by the Chinese government. They are all regulated by the Yangtze River Water Resources Commission.
If the CCP acknowledges a mistake, how will it rectify itself? Instead of admitting fault, it is likely to resort to more audacious actions or strategies to conceal it. Today, we will delve into the connection between the relocation campaign to the Shanghai New Region and the flood discharge of the Three Gorges Dam, providing a comprehensive understanding of Beijing's mindset. Let's start by scrutinizing the Three Gorges Dam. Three Gorges Dam faces severe challenges amidst relentless rainfall. The Three Gorges upstream area, notably Chongqing, has been subjected to months of non-stop torrential rain, which has caused a sharp rise in river levels and raised the possibility of embankment breaches. Significant damage to nearby residential areas has been caused by flash floods, mudslides, and landslides caused by the severe rainfall. The district of Wanzhou, which is located in the reservoir area of the Three Gorges, has been particularly affected by these disastrous occurrences. Ironically, the Chinese Communist Party's CCP primary goal in building the Three Gorges Dam was to lessen the effects of the region's intense rainfall. However, the dam has not mitigated the calamity as intended. On the contrary, it has made the impacts of the severe downpours worse. On July 14th, Chongqing faced severe weather, with Wanzhou district recording 219 millimeters of rainfall. Over 2,600 residents were swiftly evacuated. The Yangtze River Maritime Affairs Bureau identified 202 geohazard points, posing risks to navigation in the Three Gorges Reservoir area. Wanzhou experienced its second flood in 12 days, raising concerns about regional preparedness. Earlier heavy rainfall in Chongqing, with Jiangtan town receiving the heaviest since 1956, highlights the urgent need for robust strategies to manage both immediate evacuations and long-term infrastructure resilience in the face of unpredictable weather patterns. The Chinese government has long considered dams to be a strategic asset, but with 94,000 or so aging dams, the problem is not limited to a single dam. The potential risks associated with the world's largest hydroelectric facility, the Three Gorges Dam, are creating alarm throughout the world. The structural integrity of the Three Gorges Dam is under question because it was constructed recently, in contrast to the majority of dams constructed during Mao Zedong's reign. The $31 billion dam was built with the intention of reducing the destructive Yangtze River floods that displaced 1.4 million people and affected a large area. Although the dam is a major source of clean energy, its ineffective flood control measures have drawn criticism. Experts question its efficacy and point out a number of fundamental problems. Because the dam was constructed in an earthquake-prone area, it is prone to earthquakes, and visible fissures may be caused by subpar construction materials. The risk of earthquakes in the area is increased by the sheer weight of the water contained behind the dam. Algal blooms, pollution, and poor water quality exacerbate the situation. Operating since 2003, the Three Gorges Dam has set world records for hydroelectric output. Its effectiveness during floods has been questioned nevertheless, particularly after the biggest flood peak in August 2020. Potentially catastrophic outcomes from the dam's breakdown might affect millions of people, interrupt power production, result in environmental catastrophes, and have an impact on the world economy. The Yangtze River is home to almost 500 million people. Thus, the dam's ability to withstand heavy rains and stop floods is essential. Although there have been evacuations, there are still concerns about the dam's resilience to natural calamities. Even while complete collapse might not happen right away, China needs to address underlying problems like aging dams and probable ecological effects if it wants to prevent a serious crisis. Over 94,000 aging dams in China face criticism for ineffective flood control measures. Professor Huang Wanli, an esteemed water resources expert at China's Tsinghua University, strongly opposed the construction of the Three Gorges Dam. He raised concerns about the substantial presence of loess in the region and warned that neglecting sediment-related issues could lead to severe consequences. Huang Wanli predicted that the phenomenon of the Yellow River wrestling with seven sands would inevitably result in sediment accumulation. Throughout discussions and surveys, Huang Wanli consistently submitted written opinions, offering a comprehensive analysis of the reasons why the Three Gorges Dam project should not move forward. His analysis covered various aspects, including geological and ecological factors, as well as military considerations. Unfortunately, during that time, his views were not understood or accepted by anyone, and there was a lack of willingness to listen. Huang Wanli was not alone in opposing this course of action. Several domestic hydraulic experts also strongly objected, opposing the construction of high dams and reservoirs for sediment retention. Despite Huang Wanli's robust arguments, the objections of both domestic and Soviet experts were disregarded. The 1957 conference transformed into a platform for criticizing Huang Wanli, and ultimately the Three Gorges Dam project proceeded as planned. The outgoing flow from the Three Gorges Reservoir surpassed the previous day's 24,000 cubic meters per second around 11 a.m. on August 25, 2023, according to a real-time water status check conducted on the Yangtze River Water Level Network. The official hasn't disclosed how much money is coming in, though. The dilemma faced by the Three Gorges Dam in discharging floodwater reveals the challenges in fulfilling its intended purpose of preventing once-in-a-million-year floods. Despite being promoted as having a storage capacity of 175 meters, the dam must release water at 145 meters due to the lower elevation of the upstream city Chongqing, which is approximately 42 meters below. The consequence of maintaining the water level at 175 meters would lead to the flooding of Chongqing at 217 meters, posing a significant risk to the entire city. The decision to discharge water at 145 meters is also influenced by the questionable quality of the Three Gorges project. To safeguard against potential dam failure during the flood control period, this elevation is considered the safest water level. If the water level surpasses this threshold, it could result in catastrophic consequences for the Yangtze River basin, impacting vital cities like Shanghai. The uncontrolled flow of water and sediment downstream would wreak havoc on the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River, up to Shanghai's mouth. Thus, maintaining the 145-meter water level is crucial for the Three Gorges Dam's survival. This situation creates a complex dynamic between the dam and both its upstream and downstream cities. The dam acts as a mediator, relieving pressure on Chongqing by discharging water downstream when needed. However, this leads to complaints and protests from downstream cities like Wuhan, prompting the Three Gorges Dam to adjust its water release. This delicate balance mirrors the broader challenge faced by China's numerous reservoirs and associated cities, where the norm is to discharge floods during the rainy season without adequate warning. The tragic loss of lives due to these floods often remains unaccounted for, with the Chinese government manipulating casualty figures to downplay the human toll. as the Yangtze River, China's largest river, witnesses floods from west to east across its vast drainage area of 1.8 million square kilometers. It highlights the complexities and shortcomings in managing such extensive water resources.